Hello everyone, welcome back to the FastAPI series. In the last video, we created our first FastAPI endpoint and tested it in the browser. In this video, we will take it further and cover how to handle dynamic path parameters, how to use query parameters, and how to handle different request methods like get and post. Let's get started. First, make sure your FastAPI project is set up. You can continue from the last video or start with fresh. You can get the code from GitHub repository that I share in the description of the video. You can check out the day one branch and follow the instructions in README to run the project. You can see the complete instructions. In my previous video, I did cover a couple of things. Let's start with creating a file requirement.txt to list all the dependencies. So here I'm in the code. Let's first activate your virtual environment that we have created in the previous video. Here you can see using this command, I have activated my virtual environment. Now let's execute the pip freeze to check all the dependencies. To generate the requirement.txt file that includes FastAPI, UVCon, and other dependencies. As you can see, there are lots of dependencies are here. So we can easily create the requirement.txt file using freeze. So here you can see after the execution of this command, we have created this file. I will commit this file into GitHub repository so that later you can install it. You might be wondering like how we can install all these dependencies in the project. So this is very simple. You can use this command pip install -r requirement.txt. In my current environment, I have already installed everything, so I'm not executing this command. You might be thinking we have installed just two packages, FastAPI and the UVCon. Why there are so many other libraries listed when we run the pip freeze or just created this file? So the answer is like when we install a Python package, it often brings along dependencies. There are other packages it relies on to work properly. Let's open main.py file. Let's have a quick recap. So in the first line, you can see we import the FastAPI and then use it to create a new app. This is an app decorator and it defines a path for a HTTP GET method. As you can see, after app, we have a GET method. Here, the path is / and this is the root directory. When someone visits the /, it will call this root function and return this response, message hello FastAPI. To run the server, let's get back to the terminal and execute the UVCon command. UVCon main app reload. In this command, after UVCon, main is the file name and app is your app name. And this reload flag is basically to allow automatic restart when you make any change in the code. You can hit enter to run the server. Now we can access this particular URL by clicking on it, or you can simply copy it and open in a browser. Now you can see the response. Now we have a basic app ready. Let's add more routes. Let's begin with path parameters. These let you pass values in the URL path. Here, user ID is a path parameter. FastAPI automatically converted into an integer because I defined this user ID as integer. If the user pass a non-integer value, then it will return an error. Let's see in the browser. The path was user / I'm just putting 12. Here you can see user is 12. If by mistake, if I put some name, like suppose if I put my name and hit enter, you can see the detailed message here. This is the beauty of FastAPI. Suppose if I don't pass anything and hit the URL, so it will say like there is URL not found. Let's continue and understand like the query parameters. I covered this in my previous video, but I want to tell you more about it. Now let's set query parameter. This comes after the question in the URL. So let's start with this is another route where I created an endpoint search and I'm expecting a query parameter queue. If I go to the browser and check this endpoint, hit the enter, then you can see this query parameter is not an optional. So it is just asking for this as a required field. So we have to explicitly pass that thing. So after the question mark, we can pass queue. If I put Yoku tag here, you can see the query is Yoku tag. Let's add another query parameter with some default value. So we can define another parameter like as a limit. This code you can see I added a limit query parameter with default value, and here I'm returning it. Let's go back to the browser. If I hit the server again, you can see without passing this limit parameter, it is still working. But if I really want to override it, I can simply pass the limit parameter, like I want to make it 100. See the changes. After understanding of the query parameter and the path parameters, let's understand the handling of post request with some request body. For that, we will create the schema. We will import the Pydantic. As we already know, as a dependency, it is already installed, so you will not face any issue. Here, we just import the base model. Using this base model, we'll create our item schema. Let me create the item schema. The schema is ready. Here I create a class item with 3 properties. First is name, second is price, and third is stock. Stock is a Boolean field where the default value is true, price is floating value, and the name is string. So in this schema, you can see these 2 parameters are required and this is optional. In the next post request, we'll handle the JSON body. So we'll use this schema in that. So let me use post and let me define the API endpoints, items. So here you can see this app.post means like here I'm using the post method of HTTP. And this is the API endpoint items. So here in the parameter, I'm receiving item and just I'm returning it. Let's try it in the browser. To test this post method, we have to go to the docs. Here you can see the items endpoint. If I open this, you can see the complete details of it. So the expected value is name, price, and is stock. This is the example of the schema. We can call this API by clicking on try it out. We can pass the name, like I want to pass the keyboard as a name. I want to pass the price like 2000, and this value like we can pass this through. If I hit the execute, you can see the response. The response is like we receive item, the name, price, and stock. Suppose if I don't pass any of the required field, if I don't pass the price and hit enter, then you can see the error message. The price is missing. If I don't pass the optional value and hit enter, now you can see there is no error and it is just making it true. We can make it false as well. Like suppose if I make it false and hit the execution, you can see it is false. So for other kind of APIs like post, patch, delete, you can easily use this Swagger UI and perform all the operations. So in this video, we have got path parameters, query parameters, and post request with request body, where we use the Pydantic model, the base model. In the next video, we'll dive into response model, status code, and error handling. If you found this helpful, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comment what would you like to explore next. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.